Baseball is not survival. Baseball is something.
Trains
is a passion.
people to become adults, and it is a path to success. It is a path to scholarships.
And you care more about that than your kids.
No, I care about my kids because those things are valuable.
You care more about the fact they could play baseball than the health and choices of your kids and their freedom. And what you're saying is, well, they're going to make my kids do it, and the system in place that they control and the things they've given me are more important than my sovereignty. So be it. You can choose to live.
Not that simple, dude.
You can buy a farm. You can choose to work hard and be.
It's not that simple, man.
No.
YouTube has officially censored one of my videos.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and Tim Pool started out the day with a pretty spicy take that I kind of want to talk about. But before I do, I know anytime a content creator talks about another content creator, there's this perception that there's some sort of feud or something like that. Look, I respect Tim. I think he has done a lot of good. I have an enormous amount of respect for his work ethic and his hustle and everything that he's built and all the employees that he has. This is just two guys that would probably agree on 90% of things, just disagreeing on this. It's not anything more than that. But since we share so many subscribers, and I strongly disagree with this take, I thought I would weigh in. So this isn't like a roasting Tim or anything like that, but it's been an interesting conversation. So a couple of weeks back, he was talking with Jack Murphy on his podcast, on Tim Pool's podcast, and there was a really abrasive exchange that happened that I just it rubbed me the wrong way, because essentially Tim had accused Jack Murphy, a father who is divorced and doesn't have full autonomy over his children's choices, of liking the system more than his children's bodily autonomy, essentially saying that because his kids were forced to get the poke to continue to compete in the sports that they loved, if he allowed that, he was somehow choosing the system over his children. Now, I do think that there is a black and white perspective here that Tim is coming from that is true in a way, that you are making a choice. And yes, you could theoretically tell your kids that the sport they've been playing for 20 years and all this stuff is not, they can't play it anymore because dad has a political opinion. Now, that is one position. I, however, try to be more practical or pragmatic or whatever when I'm talking about this stuff. But let me just show you the initial exchange here, or at least the part that I thought was a little jarring.
Forget baseball. Yep. Forget crew.
Yes.
Man, I wish
you
it,
love
I
the
wish
system.
I wish it were that easy.
You love the system more.
No.
Then tell your kids not to play baseball.
What?
Dude,
that's like telling you not to wear a beanie and not to do this show.
Baseball is not survival. Baseball is something.
Neither is doing a YouTube show. Okay. Look, I don't know Jack Murphy. I don't think we've ever spoke. I don't really have any opinion on him, one way or the other. But the conversation was, essentially his kids were getting forced to have to get the poke, and they clearly wanted to, so they could continue playing their sports.
It's a passion. People to become adults, and it is a path to success. It is a path to scholarships,
and you care more about that than your kids.
No.
So Tim is arguing from a position where getting the poke is inherently a bad thing, and that the kids doing it is bad, right? And that Jack Murphy is allowing something bad to happen to his children by him allowing them to choose to get the poke so they could continue playing their. So I just don't agree with this, but I understand where Tim is coming from.
I care about my kids because those things are valuable.
You care more about the fact they could play baseball than the health and choices of your kids and their freedom. And what you're saying is, well, they're going to make my kids do it, and the system in place that they control and the things they've given me are more important than my sovereignty.
Now, Tim is not wrong in this statement, right? He's right. Jack Murphy absolutely could tell his kids that everything they've worked for their entire lives is going down the drain. He could do that. And Tim says that that's exactly what he would do. Now, I know it's low-hanging fruit, but Tim doesn't have any kids, okay? So it's really easy to say, hey, that's what I would tell my kids to do.
So be it. You can choose to live.
Not that simple, dude.
You can buy a farm.
Again, I've memed on this whole take. You could buy a farm. Do you have any idea how much a farm actually would cost? Like a functioning farm. Let's say, I don't know, you would need at least, I don't know, 10 acres probably to sustain yourself just on food. You would need some source of income. You would need a large farm. You know, let's say $1 million, $500,000 to $1 million to buy a farm, and to then also, do you even know how to farm? Most people don't, right? So no, it is like this absurd. You could just buy a farm. No, you can't just buy a farm.
You can choose to work hard and be.
It's not that simple, man. You know what? I wish I had that simplicity. If it were up to me, they'd be homeschooled and playing private club ball all the time. But guess what? I've been divorced for 12 years. I don't have sovereignty over that particular issue. I can't just pick my kids up and move them across the country. Is my line in the sand going to be taking away from my children the thing that they love the most?
Well, well, I don't. Do you want to say how?
14 and 16.
If it was me,
yeah,
I would do it in 2 seconds.
You would tell your kid that you have been coaching in baseball your whole life, that you have.
I don't believe Tim.
Taught how to throw, how to pitch, how to bat, and you've talked your whole life about them being on a varsity sport and going into college to play Division I baseball, and you would look them in the eye and be like, just throw that away because daddy's got a political position. So I know that this.
I don't believe Tim. I believe he believes what he's saying, but I believe if he had children that he had raised for 15 years and those kids came around and this came up to him, that he would not force them to stop. And to be totally honest, if your kid's 16, 17, they're going to be able to get it anyway in a year, right? So, it's just, to me, this kid is old enough to make that decision, 16, 17. But this conversation was from like a couple weeks back, but it spawned a tweet today that I vehemently disagree with by saying, he writes, no one who claims to oppose poke mandates who then went to get poked due to a fear of losing their job or money actually opposes mandates. So what Tim Pool's position is that you should be poor and destitute, that you should quit your job and allow your family to starve or allow yourself to be evicted, because that is the only way you can actually oppose mandates. The reality is you can absolutely have received the poke and oppose mandates. I mean, and to a lot of people say, well, Tim just posts stuff like this on Twitter to get a rile. I just showed you a video in which he clearly has this exact same opinion. Look, I like Tim a lot. I hope one day to have the reach that he does. But I feel like he's spending too much time in the Beanie compound. When you're young, the number of binary decisions that you have is as high as you probably will ever have in your life. When you're young and rich, that number is even higher. Tim Pool doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to do. He is a millionaire living out in a beautiful home that he earned through his hard work, but the man doesn't actually have to make any tough decisions. He doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to do. Which is great, by the way. Okay, this is good. He's earned that. I don't have to do anything I don't have to do. YouTube is basically my full-time gig now. And before that, I had my own business, so I didn't have to do anything I didn't want to do, for the most part, right? But I'm also out here, not out here acting like not everyone has that same opportunity. I mean, I think Tim needs to go to the local pub where he lives and talk to regular people. Talk to people that actually work for a living. Okay. I don't know how many of those people, like construction workers and plumbers and contractors, that Tim ever talks to nowadays. Because if he did, he would know he would not have this crazy flippant statement. Tim Pool opposes censorship. He chooses the words he says on his show so that he doesn't get demonetized. Does that mean Tim supports censorship? No, of course not. But by his own logic, it would certainly indicate that. I wrote, Tim, you oppose YouTube guidelines, right? But you still use their platform. When are you going to stand on your principles and delete the channel? He certainly could delete his YouTube channel. I wouldn't ask him to do that. That's absurd. But that's essentially what he's saying, and he's getting roasted for it. Lauren Southern, I would have said something like this too before I became a mother. You have hypocrites saying anyone who pays taxes doesn't believe that taxes are in any way unfair. Anyone who self-censors on YouTube isn't against censorship. Tim is accusing others of LARPing while being the biggest LARPer out there. Vincent Von Doom says, man who abides by YouTube guidelines while opposing them for fear of losing money calls out people that oppose poke mandates while abiding them for fear of losing their money. So hardcore, so stunning, so brave. No one who claims to oppose taxes that went on to pay taxes actually opposes taxes. I just think that, you know, ultimately Tim then doubled down saying to reply, Jeffrey Miller says, this is dumb. People can genuinely oppose things without being willing to die for them or face utter ruination of their family for them. Ask any parent if their political ideals should come before their kids. He writes, Jeffrey is incorrect. When I say oppose mandates, when you say I oppose mandates, but then decide resources are more valuable, you do not oppose mandates. This is such a like, what, no true Scotsman, or this is such an elitist, privileged opinion to have. Like, I don't want my viewers to get this black-pilled, which is why I'm making this video. You can oppose something while still accepting the reality that life is a finite resource on this planet. And then you've got kids, or you've got bills, you've got rent, you've got mortgages, you've got car payments. Tim Pool, there's no amount of suffering that Tim Pool won't sign you up for. He writes, I do not accept mandates in exchange for goods, but it is, of course, nuanced. Wearing a mask for 10 minutes is whatever. Wearing shoes in a shirt store, whatever. Irreversible medical procedures, they should not be mandated. It's between you and your doctor. We agree. Where I disagree is you coming from the position that, you know, it's like you haven't talked to somebody who's a wage cuck in a long time. Somebody who works 2, 3, 4 jobs just to get by. The issue here is lost in Twitter context is that there should not be poke mandates. Do you oppose getting an irreversible medical procedure in exchange for access to goods? If you say yes, then you actually make the exchange. I have to question your honesty. That's just incorrect. You can make an educated, you can make a, in the real world, Tim, it's been a while since you probably lived paycheck to paycheck, but people have to make decisions, and oftentimes regular people, they have to do this thing between, called choosing between the lesser of two evils. Could somebody get another job that doesn't have those said mandates? Yes, it's possible. And you could, you know, not everybody is just, you know, crumbling under this. There are options for people, but not everybody. He says, we have 30 employees relying on our continued YouTube existence. I hope that they understood what it means if we get banned, because there is a red line I will not cross. So what Tim Pool is saying is that he dislikes censorship, but he values the access to goods and resources more than he dislikes that censorship, and is willing to trade his freedom of speech for access to that money. That's by your own logic, Tim. I really, really want you to get out there and talk to some regular people and get that perspective back, because we need you, buddy. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.